Right now, I've got a great Photoshop tutorial for you. I'm going to create a composite with a man peeling back one reality to reveal the other. Check it out. Hey Cafe crew, it's Colin Smith here from PhotoshopCafe.com, the very best place to learn Photoshop and Lightroom. So this week I've got an exciting tutorial for you. We're going to create a composite from start to finish of a daytime scene, but a man peeling back the night to reveal that daytime. So there's a number of things that we're going to learn. We're going to learn how to extract an object. We're going to learn how to combine different photos together into one. We're going to take one part, we're going to do night for day, and I'm also going to show you how to create a page peel effect as he's peeling back the night sky to reveal the day. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with 3 images that I got from Adobe Stock. So we can see we've got this one of the background plate. We've got the one here of a construction worker who's going to peel back this night sky to reveal it. Now, if you want to grab some great stock photography, check out Adobe Stock. It's a great place for it. And in fact, I've got a link underneath where I'm going to give you 10 free images to get started. And also check out PhotoshopCafe.com. I'll give you a link underneath where you can download these particular images that we're using in this tutorial. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to extract the construction worker from the background. Now this is going to be easy because we've got a nice easy white background to work with. I have tons of other tutorials that show you how to do extractions on more difficult images. In fact, I'll give you a link underneath to a list of my most popular ones. All right, so what we're going to do for this case is we're going to use select and we're going to go to color range. Now select color range, what it does is it enables us to use this eyedropper to select the color we want to use, and then we'll adjust the fuzziness to decide how intense we want to get. So right now the white is selected, but I'm not going to use that. I want to make sure I'm selecting very close to our subject. So let's just tap there, and that's selected an area of white, and now we're going to move our fuzziness down till we get a good selection. I can see a couple of dots there. If you want to check, just change grayscale preview. See, there's a couple of spots there, so we want to just pull that up just a little bit so those spots are gone. And then just click OK. Okay, so right now I want to go to select and mask. You don't see the select and mask option up there sometimes, and that's because we didn't use a selection tool. So what we need to do is fool Photoshop into thinking we did. So just grab any selection tool, and now select and mask is available. And to go in there, all we need to do is just click that button. And here we are in select and mask. Notice that we've got the wrong stuff selected. That's easily selected. We go down here, choose invert. And now we've got our construction worker selected, but let's preview them against other backgrounds to see how it's looking. So let's put them against a black, and let's put them against a white. So I'm looking here, it's looking pretty good. We've got a tiny little fringe there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on decontaminate colors. And that, I see I still got a little white fringe. So what I'm going to do is take the shift edge and I'm going to push this to -2 pixels. So just type that in there. And that is going to get rid of the majority of the color fringing that we sometimes see. So make sure we go to a new layer with layer mask, click OK, and now we've got our extraction. So now what we want to do is we want to put him in our field. So if we look over here, this is our field. We want to combine these 2 images. So I'm going to grab the move tool, and that's the V key, and I'm going to make sure that I've selected on his layer, not his mask, and make sure they're at linked. Otherwise, they won't move together, and you should see that. All right, now we're just going to go up here, drag it up into the other tab. We now see the other one appear. I haven't let go yet. I'm actually using a Wacom tablet right now. You could do the same thing with a mouse. And I'm just going to pull the pointer over the middle, and now I'm going to release it. So now we need to size this to fit. So we need to go into free transform mode, which is something we're going to do a ton in this tutorial. And that's Command T or Control T on Windows. And I'm just going to move this down so I can see one of my handles, and I'm just going to click and drag down. I think about there looks pretty good, and I'm just going to line it up with the tree there, and I'm going to hit enter or return. Now sometimes you'll see this little white bounding box that goes on in there, and the way to get rid of that is just to select the layer mask, because notice in the layer mask you've got areas of white. In fact, if I hit the option and click, you can see there's our cutout area, and we've got all this. So what we want to do is just kind of fix that. So the easy way to do that is, let me just click back on the layer, is just to grab our rectangular tool, make a selection around our object inside of there. And I'm not going to use the feet or anything anymore, so we're good. So I'm going to hit Command-Shift-I to invert it. And now I've selected everything except for that space. Make sure you select the layer mask. And then just hit Option Backspace or Alt Backspace. Notice that all fills with black now. And we've dealt with that. Now what I want to do is flip him. So I'm going to hit Control-T for Free Transform. Right-click. And that'd be Control-Click on Mac. Flip horizontal. All right, so we want him going this way. And I'm just going to kind of move him over to about there. Looks good. So he's kind of intersecting the tree, but maybe bring it over that way a bit more. Because I don't want him to be colliding with that tree. So that looks good. So now notice we've got a clean background between the tree and there. Creates a better silhouette. Excellent. So the next thing we want to do is we want to add our night sky in here that he's going to be peeling back. So we're going to go to the other image, which is the sky image right here. And I want to combine that. So the same thing, just click it, drag it into the tab of the image we want to go down, bring it into the middle, and release. Let's drag it down underneath our construction worker. And we're going to drag it down to the lower corner. Okay, I want to make this fit right up to the top. So we're going to hit Control-T or Command-T once again for Free Transform. Click on the corner, drag it up. Then hit Enter to apply. Actually, we don't even have to hit Enter on the new version. We just tap away. If you're using anything older than CC 2019, you'll need to hit the Enter key. Excellent. So we've got this sky. Now what I'm going to do though is I'm going to hide our construction worker for a second because I want to create a night scene with this section over here. So I'll show you how I'm going to do that. I'm going to hit Control and click, and this makes a selection around this layer with the sky. Now I'm going to select the layer underneath that. So this layer underneath is selected. You can see that, there's our selection. It's the same, it's just showing the other layer. And I'm going to hit Control-J or Command-J, and that's going to make a copy of that selection. Now I'm going to drag this above so we can see right now if we hide our background, you can see what we've got. 2 layers there with that cutout of it above the sky. So I want to combine these two together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a layer mask. And now we want to merge these two together. The way to do it is to grab a gradient tool. Okay, so we're just going to grab our layer mask with the gradient tool. Make sure we're foreground to background linear. Now we're just going to click and drag down to just kind of blend them together. And if I pull further, notice we get a more gradual blend. If I start and finish closer, we get a very abrupt blend. So I'm going to go about here, and we're just kind of blending this in. Now, you've probably seen me do this blend tip before if you're part of Photoshop Cafe. I've done this in other tutorials. And by the way, if you're liking these kind of tutorials, hit the subscribe button right now, and you're going to get a new tutorial from me every single week. So anyway, let's continue. What we want to do is make this foreground look like it's nighttime as well. So I'm going to go right up to the very top, and I'm going to use something under here. We're going to go down to color lookup. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to load a lookup table, or a LUT. Maybe you've heard of that term. We're going to click on it here. And so we're just going to go down here, and then we're going to choose our moonlight. And that's going to give us a nighttime feel. Let me just play around with the opacity just a little bit, just to kind of blend that in. There we go. So we've got that nice nighttime feel. Now here's the thing. If I go here and I turn on the background and I turn on our man, everything is being affected by that. So what I want to do is just create a layer here. I just want to only affect the layers inside there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the man and the background. So not our original background, but everything we want to put in the night sky. And then hit Control-G to put it into a group. And now if we go up to our adjustment layer and hold the Alt or the Option key, we can clip it. So now this adjustment layer is only affecting these layers underneath and not our background. So what we've got essentially right now is we've got our daytime scene underneath, we've got our nighttime scene over the top. And if we want to make it more intense, we can play around with that opacity. See that? So we can dial that in however we want it. Let's make it a little bit more intense, just for fun and for effect. Now notice I've also gone over the top of our man. Well, yes, sort of in the nighttime, but then we're going to have some daytime illuminating from here. So why don't we work on that right now? So I'm going to go under this adjustment layer. Notice it has a mask. All I need to do is paint on this mask. So I'm going to select him by hitting the Controls key and just clicking on his layer mask. And you can see now we've got that layer mask going around him, or that selection, sorry. And then what we want to do is paint with black. So I'm going to choose B for brush. And I'm just going to test it. Notice that it's working. If it isn't, just invert that selection, which would be under Select Inverse. So if you don't see it working, inverse your selection. So right now we're good. So I'm going to make my brush a little bit bigger. And then what I'm going to do is go into the brush settings here. I want the hardness all the way down. I want a soft brush. And this is going to work quite well. And if you're using a Wacom tablet, then what you want to do is under brush settings, you want to set your transfer to pen pressure. And what that is, it just means the harder I push, the more it's going to apply. If you're using a mouse, just use a lower opacity. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paint a glow around the front of him, as if this light is coming from over here. So let's just go over that portion there and see how the mask is helping me to get this perfect. And I can imagine a little bit under that arm is probably going to appear. I'm not going to do anything over the top because this is coming from the night sky. Now, if you really wanted to get crazy, you could like paint a little bit of blue on there, but I'm not going to go that far because this is just a tutorial. Now I'm going to paint a little bit of light here on the inside. So it's just kind of hitting him there. And what we're looking for is areas that stick out, like his tool belt here would be receiving a little bit of light, the front of his hand there, and just like that. And I'm going to do the inside leg. It's just going to be receiving a little bit of light there. And I'm going to pull this up and just drop the opacity down on this really low to like about 30 and just have a little bit just gently touching his chest there on the inside. So that's kind of how the light is going to be hitting him. Let's hit Control D to turn it off. So now we can see, you know, we've got a little bit more realistic that we've got the light coming in from here. Obviously, you could spend more time on it. And if you want to see my fine art, check out photoshopcafe.com, go in the gallery. Once again, this is just a tutorial. I'm trying to show you the steps so you can follow along. All right, what we want to do now is we want to peel back the sky. Now, before I do though, when you peel it back, it's very difficult to get the underside of the peel. You'll see what I mean in a minute. It doesn't make much sense right now, but I'm going to create a new layer. And what I want to do is select this area, just hit Control and click on there. So I've got a selection around there. And I want to have something as this peels over to show the back side of it. So here's a little technique that I discovered that will work for this. Create the gradient tool and then grab foreground to transparent. Notice the foreground is set to white. So make sure you set white as the foreground. Foreground to transparent. And then we're just going to click and drag in the corner here, maybe a little bit more, just to create a little bit of a gradient. I'm also going to do the same for up here, just very gently. So I'm just letting it touch. In fact, I don't want to do it like that. Let's just go there. So you see what we've done? We've just created this little bit of light around it. I'm going to hit Control D to deselect. And you'll see how this will work in a second. It's going to look like the light reflection as we're peeling it back. So I want to take these 3 layers, which is going to be the cloth or the background, select those, and we want to convert them together into a smart object. So what we do is we just right click with them selected and choose Convert to Smart Object. Now the reason I converted to a smart object rather than flattening it is if that gradient wasn't quite right, I can go inside the smart object and I can change it and I can alter it at any time. So this is a completely non-destructive way of working. If you want to know more about smart objects, check out the in-depth tutorial I did on smart objects where I used potatoes to describe smart objects. Okay, we're ready to do our page peel. So what we're going to do with our layer selected here, Control T for free transform. And now we want to right click and we're going to go into warp. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take this corner and we're going to peel it down into his hand. See that? And see how our gradient is now working to show the background. If we hadn't put that gradient there, it would just be blending into the sky. So why don't we also make it look like it's kind of just peeling back a little bit here. So we can see, you know, it's like a sheet peeling back. And notice here it's not quite lining up. So we're just going to click and drag so that lines up as well. the bottom of the tree. And in fact, why don't we make it line up right here? Okay, so now that kind of looks like this is bellowing out and he's peeling this back. In fact, let me go a little bit more dramatic with this. There, kind of like that. And now we're just going to hit enter to apply it. And notice now that he's peeling back this background. So what we want to do now is we just want to kind of make the hand look like it's going underneath. So let's zoom in on that for a second. All right, so what we need to do is keep his thumb there, but hide everything else underneath there. So what I want to do is just simply go in here and I'm going to hide him for a second. And we're also going to hide our color lookup just for a sec too. Use I guess even a magic wand will work. So we're just going to go down here and we just want to select that little area there. Nice. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go back up here. See where that layer mask is? All we're going to do now is paint inside that layer mask to hide his fingers in that area. So if we paint with black, it's going to hide that. So we're going to grab the brush. We're going to drag it down. And I'm just going to choose black, making sure that mask is selected. Opacity is up to 100. I'm just going to paint these fingers away from behind, leaving the thumb. So we'll come back to the thumb actually. Let's just paint them away. And if we hit X to paint again with white, now we can just put his thumb back in. Now we're going to go back up here. Notice this is a little weird. Just control click there to select our mask. And what we're going to do is just go up in here with white. Command Shift I to invert it. And we're just going to paint it away inside of that layer too, because that was just showing where we did the day for night. All right, so let's have a look. If we zoom out again, you can see he's kind of pulling it back. Now, if you don't like this black border around here, it would be quite easy to get rid of that. All we need to do is just select it here. And then all I'm going to do is just nudge it down with a keyboard, show that layer is selected. And all we do is just put it inside a layer mask. And that'll get rid of that black edge. Now, I like the black edge here because it kind of shows a little bit of thickness as it's peeling back. All right, so there's other little things we could do, you know, just kind of brightening and darkening different areas, a little dodging and burning, and other things we could do. But I want to stop here because I think this shows you the gist of the tutorial that is going to enable you to create this kind of effect. All right, so I'm kind of curious at this point. You're obviously into Photoshop or you wouldn't be watching this tutorial right now. Let me know in the comments underneath, what is it that you like to do? What is your favorite thing to do inside of Photoshop? Love to know. And by the way, don't forget you can grab your 10 free images from Adobe Stock. And also if you're a photographer, you can actually contribute your photos into Adobe Stock, get it in front of millions of people, and make a little extra money at the same time. And it's really easy to sign up to become a contributor. I've got that link underneath for you right now. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you're not part of the Cafe crew, hit the subscribe button right now because I've got a new tutorial for you every single week, and hit that little bell notification and you'll be alerted whenever I upload a new tutorial. And by the way, if you liked this tutorial, smash that like button into dust. And until next time, I'll see you at the cafe.